What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Juice Toya Podcast.
Yay!
Brought to you by One Body Los Angeles. I am your co-host, Juice. My real name is Julius, and I have my lovely wife, my partner in crime, Toya, over here.
Hey, episode number 1.
Wow, this has been a long time coming. We've been wanting to do a podcast for a while now, and now that we've kind of got a lot of things up and running, we finally got the opportunity to get this setup going.
To get it going,
and get this podcast started. So welcome to a new journey for us.
Yes,
so.
And if you're here, you probably know us from our YouTube channel, Juice Toya, where we have a workout channel.
Yep.
But, it's with that channel, it's probably harder for us to do some of the things that we want to do as far as like having more conversations about topics or just having conversations in general with the channel that we have. To be honest, you're probably there to work out, right? Not to sit and listen to us talk. So this gives us a platform to really go deeper on some of the topics that we'd like to discuss.
Yeah, and it's harder to put, certain topics into video form just because, again, if you're following our channel, if you've seen us before, you're coming to work out. You're not necessarily coming to watch us talk about a lot of these topics. So, in this space, it'll allow for us to cover a whole bunch of topics, especially a lot of questions that you guys have dropped in the comments. We want to be able to cover all of those topics in a talking form because if you're listening to a podcast, you're wanting information anyway. You're coming here with a purpose. So
and a lot of you probably don't know who we are as people. It's hard to gauge our personalities just off of workouts alone. Or you may not have even known that his name is actually Julius, So this also gives us a place to tell you more about us, who we are, why we do what we do.
So that's why we're here. So with that being said, a lot of you may not know who we are personally. And, I thought we start episode 1 with a formal introduction because, we have completely different backgrounds. How we even met was a miracle. So we'll cover that story. If we cover the real full thing, it'll take like an hour and a half. We don't have time for that.
There's so much.
We don't have time for that. But let's start with you. Give us a little intro, where you're from, how you got here.
All right, so my name is LaToya, also known as Toya. I was actually born and partially raised in Germany. So I still speak very broken German. I could have a very broken conversation with you. I can understand what you're saying. But I have been here since I was 7 or 8. So during that time, that's when you're learning how to read and write and all of those things. So I learned English very quickly. I don't really have an accent anymore, but every once in a while
it comes out for sure.
That throat sound, that German throat sound comes out. I then moved to a small town in Missouri, close to Kansas City, Richmond, Missouri.
Shout out Richmond.
And that's where I grew up. I was always an athlete growing up, just always very active. I was always in a sport. And that's just kind of what made me happy. I enjoyed it. I was good at a lot of different things. But also that kind of led me into college. I initially wanted to do physical therapy. I had a knee surgery, went through physical therapy and was like, no, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. It was so boring to me.
Nothing against physical therapists out there, but
I wanted to do that my whole life. And then I went through it myself and just did not have the passion for it. And I feel like with a job like that, it's like personal training. You really have to have a passion for it because you are there to help other people's lives, Sure. So, I changed my major to nutritional science and which still goes hand in hand with health and fitness, of course. Yep. And that's kind of the background story. I then started bikini bodybuilding competitions, and that is actually where I got into strength training. Growing up, I was a runner. I enjoyed running. I didn't so much enjoy the lifting. I would do it. It was great, but the running is what I enjoyed. And that flip-flopped in college. I was more into strength training. I learned how to lift. And that's where I fell in love with personal training. I had someone helping me change from strictly running to strength training, and just to see how that changed my body. It changed my perspective on working out. That's how I got into personal training. So how did I get to LA?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
My junior year of college, I came to LA for an acting thing, and I don't act. I have never really acted, but came out here for that, did very well at it. But I actually moved here because during that time, I fell in love with the city. When I wasn't, we'd have these little like courses and things we'd have to do. I would wake up before anyone and go run around the city. And I just fell in love with everyone's drive, the ambition, the weather, of course, was beautiful. But just like the energy of the city, I really fell in love with. And maybe that's because I grew up in a small town. City was different for me. Even my college town, it was a big city, but when you're in college, you're in a small bubble, So that's after my junior year, I went back to Columbia is where I went to school, and I was like, I'm moving there. Like, that's where after I graduate college, I'm going back to LA. And Missouri's not going anywhere. If LA didn't work out, I could always go back home. But it's worked out. I've been here eight years now. Yeah. And
you met the love of your life here.
I met the love of my life here. LA obviously worked out, and it's been great. So little backstory on me. That's pretty much it. I have 6 siblings, 8 nieces and nephews, big family person. I love them all. And it's pretty much all the important stuff.
Man, that's a lot. Yeah. But she's a very interesting person. So hopefully,
there's more.
As this podcast go about, you're gonna learn a lot of things about Toya. She's just funny, man. and that's the beauty about this podcast. We want you guys to understand our personalities more, with it being attached to the workouts and the content we put out. So,
who's Juice?
Who's Juice?
Who is Juice?
Well, glad you asked. My real name isn't Juice. Sorry if that busts your bubble.
Bust your bubble.
My name is Julius White. That is my real government name. I'm the third. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Shout out to the H. All my Houstonians out there. Shout out to
right?
Yeah, you got it right. That's the H right there. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. I grew up playing sports my entire life. My dad, he put me in sports as soon as my mom thought it was safe. Like she was a little nervous, but my dad, he knew I was going to be an athlete at an early age. He actually a couple of weeks ago for his birthday, we met him out and we went to Napa for his birthday. And he told me a story about, I know Napa was great. He told a story about how, I want to say I was like 3 years old, and he, was experimenting with different toys. He was buying me an assortment of different toys, and he also bought me a basketball goal. I didn't pay any mind to any one of those toys but that basketball goal. Like I was dunking on it. I was shooting. Like I was obsessed
basketball star in the making.
Yeah, and that's when he knew, I might not have been a basketball star, but he knew at the very least I had some type of athletic potential. Yeah. So carry on. I played sports when I was about, I want to say I started playing when I was 6 or 7 years old. Started playing basketball as my first love. I didn't end up going very far in basketball because I realized I wasn't going to be that tall. So played sports, ended up obviously falling in love with football. I played throughout high school and got lucky enough to play in college at Rice University. Shout out to Rice, which is also in Houston, Texas, if you didn't know. And that was
Go Owls.
And my major in college, I actually changed my major like 3 times. I thought I wanted to be an engineer, but Rice is tough, man, because Rice, anywhere else in the country you can go and, it's a little bit more lenient to athletes, but as an athlete at Rice, you were just another student.
You were a student athlete.
Yeah, so certain majors was kind of tough, especially schedule-wise. So I knew I was interested in the body, so I majored in kinesiology, sports medicine, and graduated, and I got a kind of sort of a chance to play in the NFL, didn't work out, and that's when I decided to move to LA because I went to Houston. I've been living in Houston my entire life. I went to college in Houston, and the thing about playing collegiate football is you travel a lot. Mm-hmm. Like you go, like we went to Florida, we went to all parts of Texas, like parts of Texas I hadn't even been to, and I lived there. New York, like we were able to travel and see different cities. And it kind of gave me that itch to want to continue that after I, graduated from college. So like she did, I went to LA. I took a trip to LA. I think it was early in my senior year. And man, like it it just took my soul, man. Like I went to the beach and saw a sunset for the first time in Malibu, and it was like,
it's different.
It's different. Like, it's just, I've seen a lot of sunsets in my day, but that was just different.
Especially when you didn't grow up around water or a coast or.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really sold me. And when I came back to Houston, I was like, man, I think LA might be a place, like, I knew some people who lived here, but I was like, I think LA is it. I kind of want to explore. So when football didn't work out, I came back home. I was super disappointed that I didn't, reach the goal that I wanted. So I went to LA. I was like, look, like she said, I could always come back to Texas if things don't work out, but I got to soar. I got to fly. So went out to LA. Initially I started, I worked at a gym just so I could continue training to try to go to the NFL. That was my dream. I was like, at least let me have a place that I can work out, stay in shape. And if I get that call, I'm going to be ready to go. Never got that call. So I had to shift gears quick, and it was tough for me because my entire life, ever since I was that 3-year-old playing with that basketball goal, my entire life I was committed to playing any type of professional sport. So to have to make that adjustment was a big deal for me. And that's when I kind of got into personal training. Like being at a gym all the time, you see people and you see, just people wanting to, better themselves. Mm-hmm. And LA just kind of has that sort of vibe. Like everybody wants to feel good, look good. It's kind of,
health and fitness.
It's contagious.
Big, yeah.
It's definitely contagious. Yeah. So started training at a gym, and the rest is kind of history. Like that's just kind of where my career led me, and obviously for good reason. Yeah. Met my dime piece.
So that kind of brings us to how we met.
Yeah.
Again, this could be a very long story, but we're going to dumb it down a little bit. Basically, long story short, there were so many coincidences of us almost meeting each other, literally physically almost running into each other before we actually met. And then it even gets wilder from there. So I'll let you start it off.
So let's see. Like we moved, and keep in mind, we didn't obviously know each other when we first moved to LA. So it was, we moved within a week of each other.
Yeah.
And we found out, I don't even know where to start. Like, okay, so I worked at the gym. I hated it, by the way. And I ended up quitting like after 3 or 4 weeks. It was just, I didn't like it. And I quit. And guess who they hired?
So I moved in a week later, and after a couple of weeks here in LA, we finally found a place to live and everything with the girl that I moved out here with. And once I was here for a few weeks, I was like, all right, it's time to get a job. So I also kind of same thing. I was like, I don't know exactly what I want to do yet. Let me just work at a gym to where I know I'm in an environment that I need to be in. I was still competing bikini bodybuilding at the time. Yep. So same thing as him with football. It was like, let me be in an environment that I know will help me to succeed. Yes. So working at a gym, it comes with a free gym membership. You're around like-minded people. So I went to this gym. And I was like, hey, I'm looking to train. And they were like, great. When can you start? And I was like, today. And they're like, cool. We just had someone quit. We need to hire someone ASAP. And he was the person that quit. I was the person.
I got out of there.
I quickly learned also. It was awful. And keep in mind, it wasn't the training or the gym. It was the location, the place. The gym itself was not very good.
Yeah.
And it just also wasn't. Like one of the lead trainers at our gym, his full-time job was a guitarist. Yeah, he wasn't there to like that. He didn't want training to be his main thing. Yeah. So from there, I went and applied at a different gym.
Yes.
And he'd also applied at that same gym. Yes. But even within that, I wasn't supposed to be at that gym, and I wasn't supposed
to be at that gym either.
So. Things got mixed up in interviews, et cetera, and we both were sent to this other club for an interview, and out of 20-ish people, we were both hired together. Mm-hmm. That's where we met physically, but as we got to know each other, it was like, oh, you just quit this other gym? Me too. And then I realized I was his replacement. And then we found out our birthdays were 2 days apart because I was like, hey, I'm having a small get together for my birthday. And he was like, cool.
My birthday's coming up too.
And I was like, oh, let's celebrate together. And then I sent him my address and he's like, I'll be there in 2 minutes. Literally lived 2 minutes down the street from me.
I thought it was a joke.
For like 6 months this whole time. Had no idea. So we were shopping at the same grocery store.
And we started carpooling it.
Literally. So this whole time we could have run into each other anywhere. The grocery store, gas station. Like we were doing or using all of the same services and never met until we got hired together at this gym. So I feel like even if we wouldn't have gotten hired at that gym together, we were bound to run into each other
100%
at some point.
100%. So it was destined.
Yeah.
You know? So for context, we started off as we were great friends, you know, and if you've worked at a gym before and you're trying to build a clientele, especially you're on the floor and you're trying to pick up clients, like you have to be present and you have to be there a lot. Otherwise, nobody's going to know who you are. So
in LA, for example, if you have a client at 6 a.m., a client at noon, and a client at 6 p.m., you're not going home in between because the traffic is so bad that you're like, I'm just going to stay here because by the time I get home, I'd have to turn around and come back.
Yes.
It's
a grind. You know, we would sleep in the car
during our breaks had blankets in
because
the car.
It made no sense to go back home. Like you just had to stay there. So we kind of, you know, and with the other trainers that we were hired with, we just built relationships. We were very a close knit group. We're friends with these people to this day.
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of where our relationship started. We were very close friends. And I think a lot of things happened within our friendship that kind of glued us together. We were like best friends and didn't even really know it. We were just kind of, you know, feeding off of each other as time went on. And ultimately, you know, she said, you know, I like you. So how about we just make this work?
That's not how that happened, just for context. So we can get into the real story.
We'll get into it in another episode. But
no, like he said, there were a lot of traumatic things that happened throughout our friendship. And then when you just become such great friends with someone, you know.
And you kind of, you know, when you go through certain things together, whether you like it or not, you just kind of naturally connected.
And then it's easy when you're in a relationship because you don't have to explain everything or like why or any certain traumatic things because they already knew and they already helped you through it.
Exactly. So the rest is history. We just got married, if you didn't know, almost this time last year, July 29th, 2020. I left my ring too.
We work out a lot, so we don't usually wear our rings, but we are married.
We're very proud. But yeah, we just got married and we also, you know, we had a lot of technical things, but we're going to put out our wedding video this year for our 1-year anniversary.
Once we put it out, then we'll explain the technicals. We'll explain it's not everything. Worth the negative energy right
exactly. So, but anyways, we...
That's how Juice and Toya became one.
Oh, yeah. So ultimately, you know, later down the road, we both kind of grew out of our positions at the gym that we trained at. And we decided we wanted more. Like, we loved helping people. We loved... you know, we helped change, you know, at one point we both had probably 15 to 20 clients a piece. So we kind of got that itch to want to help more people. And in order to do that, let's just start a business. Let's start something to where we can, you know, start an LLC. And we honestly didn't know what we were going to do with it at first. We were just like, let's just start it and see what happens. And that's kind of what I've learned. Like, you can't just, you know, wait for the perfect opportunity or wait until all the stars are aligned to start something. You just got to start and see what happens. So luckily, you know, we were able to just take the step forward. We quit our jobs. We went off on a limb and we started One Body Los Angeles. And that is our baby. That is the sponsor of this podcast, our channel.
It's our...
If you've done a Juice and Toya challenge, it's all powered by One Body Los Angeles. And the goal with One Body Los Angeles is we want to, again, our biggest goal is to continue to connect and to reach as many people as we can. We want to help people from all over the world with a lot of different resources and be able to provide those resources because, number one, it's a lot of information on the internet.
Yeah.
It's its own universe. And, you know, we get so many questions and conflicting things that people ask us to the point where we don't even know where to start sometimes.
Right.
Because it's just so much information. And our biggest goal with whether it's our YouTube channel, our Instagrams, wherever we share information, we want to, for lack of better words, dumb it down.
Or simplify
everything. Because it's just, for us, training and working out is very simple. And I think with you have a lot of fitness professionals, especially with the internet on Instagram, it's easy for everybody to have their own way or to present things in a different way. And if you're following somebody and you're following somebody else, it can be very conflicting at some point. So we just want to simplify everything, keep the information as simple as possible. And also we want to keep our demographic as open as possible too.
Right.
Like we don't want to just help, 25 to 34 year olds. We have people and kids doing our workouts. We have people who we've seen as old as 80 years old doing our workouts, right? So we want to be able to reach a demographic of people, and we want everybody to feel welcome and feel like they can come and be a part of One Body, right? That's the name, right? So
yeah. So from there, basically, we started One Body LA in 2017.
Yes.
And then 2019, we were like, okay, how can we help even more people, right? So still personal training, it's usually 1 hour, or you can do small classes and reach more people versus just one person for an hour. But it is hard in LA to obtain permits to be able to do things on the beach, in the grass, like every piece of land
is its own permit.
Its own
like you
permit.
can't just get a permit for LA. Like
working out at the park in a group, a beach. So we were trying to see what would be the most effective and most efficient to where we could stay consistent, and then enter kind of the day and age of social media. Yep. I don't know if you remember, there was a time where Instagram videos were like 10, 15 seconds, so everything was very short form. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted long form content, you went to YouTube, right? So we started our YouTube channel actually in 2019 because we wanted to reach a larger audience. And for us, it was like Instagram at the time, it was like, you're showing them small spurts, but no one is going to Instagram to watch a long form video, right? Yeah. You're not watching a 20, 30-minute video on Instagram.
Or to learn how to work out and exercise. It's hard to get that
It's more entertainment and knowledge, of course, but it's a lot different than a search engine like YouTube, So, we started our YouTube channel initially to make it like tips, and we had no follow along workouts. Zero. It was all, if there was a workout, it wasn't follow along. It was like showing you the workout and giving you the workout, but kind of clips of us doing it and guiding you along the way, but you're not following along. So we'd be like, all right, knock out 3 more sets of that, and then we're moving on to the next thing, right? So then enter the pandemic. Wow. When that happened, we were like 6 months into our channel, or maybe like 7, 8 months.
We started in the summer of 2019. So we were about 6 to 7 months before COVID happened. And we were really like, all right, we don't have gyms now. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was like that.
Right. And we didn't even have dumbbells at home because we worked at a gym constantly. So we didn't need anything at home because we always had access. So long story short, we thought gyms were going to be shut down for 2 weeks. We filmed some workouts that we were like, let's give these to our clients, and they know our training style, so they know how the workout's going to go, right? And so we did it for that, and then we were like, well, let's put it on YouTube because we had some content we were supposed to film at the gym. Yeah. And because gyms were shut down, we were like, well, we can't do that content anymore. Let's do a workout at home. And a long time ago, I was like, we should do some follow-along workouts. And he was like,
nah, no, I don't think people have gyms. What do they need to do a follow-along?
So why would they work out at home?
What is this, P90X?
Right. So we strayed away from it. And so then with the pandemic, we were like, a lot of our clients were like, oh, can you send me another one? And I wish it was as easy as just like, I'll send you another one.
Listen, y'all. Our first follow along, it's on YouTube right now. Just go back to some of our earlier videos. It took us 4 hours to shoot that.
Literally.
Number one, because our apartment was about 600-700 square feet.
Small.
And the living area was about 150, if that. So we had to film each workout like
there wasn't enough space for 2 people to be on camera.
Exactly. So we wanted to do the advanced and modified version like what you see now, except we couldn't stand next to each other. So we had to film them individually. So if it was a 20-minute workout, double that on top of the intro, and I had to sync it together. On top of that, I had a computer that had about 4 gigabytes of RAM. So the editing process of this video, it took me like 5 days. So once we finally got it out, I was happy and I was excited about it, but also I was like, that was exhausting.
Draining.
I can't do that every single week.
And the filming process. It was like, if we're trying to be consistent with putting out content, I can't do 4 hours. And then keep in mind, at the time, we were full-time trainers. I'm talking full-time. Starting training, having clients at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., working out, then having midday clients, then a break, and then evening clients. Like, we were gone from 5 a.m. to like 8 p.m. sometimes. I kid you not, there were days we woke up and didn't see each other again, unless it was at the gym, until like 8 p.m. And it was always like whoever's home first is cooking dinner type of thing.
We had
like,
a whole system, man.
It was just so different. And so when we were doing these workouts, we were like, when the gyms open back up and we get back to normal life, we can't sustain this. No. Like that, So long story short, here we are today. We figured out a system. Yeah. We moved to a different apartment. In the meantime, too, we were renting spaces to film because we realized like we can't keep filming at home. We could have stood side by side, but it was so narrow. We would have been hitting each other. Also, do you remember the fan?
Oh,
there was a ceiling fan where if he did a shoulder press, it would hit the fan. So we had to maneuver to where he wasn't near the fan because he was too tall for the ceiling.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was wild. It was wild.
But, so fast forward, we started to see some traction. I'd say maybe 3 months down the line when, we realized, or the whole country and world realized, we're not getting out of this anytime soon. Like COVID's here for a while. And we had to adjust. We were like, let's just assume we're not going anywhere. We have to just adjust to the times and let's just try to, nobody has gyms. We don't even have a gym. Even our apartment gym shut down. Like we couldn't even work out there. So we were like, all right, let's just continue this. I know a lot of people are searching and looking for this. And it was cool to see because there were a lot of other channels who kind of already had the infrastructure for COVID. They had already been putting out these follow-along workouts. So they kind of blew up just because everybody in the world was looking for workouts.
Even us.
Even us. I mean, we were just trying to find. So fast forward, we started putting out more content. And then that's when, it started to catch traction. I think one of our videos had like 5,000 views. And this was more, keep in mind, we had our channel for about a year now. Right. And, we had like, I think it was like 5,000 views. I remember being like, man, people are actually watching this. It's crazy. Because I remember the other videos we put out that I spent a lot of time on, they got, 100 views, 200 views. And I was like, at one point I was like, I don't think this is worth it. Maybe YouTube isn't worth it.
Yeah, 4 hours of filming one 20-minute workout, and that's not including the editing time,
oh my God.
And
Listen.
So...
but luckily, it started to catch some traction. People were looking for it. We got a lot of feedback, and we'll go over that more. But feedback is what kind of, really pushed our channel forward. All we did was see what you guys wanted, and you guys enjoyed our style, and we just kind of took that feedback and ran with it. So, the rest is kind of history. We just continued to be consistent with it. And for anybody that's on YouTube who has a channel, starting a YouTube channel, you have to be consistent if you want to grow. Like you can't.
It's work. It is literally
it's a lot
of
work. And early on, we weren't monetized. Like we weren't making any money from the video, so it was honestly hard to continue that. Grind of putting out these videos. But again, just seeing the responses and seeing the comments, it kind of really gave us that motivation to keep going. And then by the end of the year. Not 2020. What did we hit 10K then?
In 2020.
In 2020, at the end of 2020, we hit 10K, and that was huge for us.
We were so excited.
We were like 10,000 people want to watch our videos. It's crazy.
Yep.
And fast forward, and we're
over
blessed,
a million.
Blessed to hit 1 million subscribers.
Because we look at it as 1 million
in February.
People. Like you have to physically go hit subscribe on our channel, and so a lot of people, especially if you're listening to this, you might have stumbled across a video of ours, right? That doesn't mean you went to our channel, and it doesn't mean you're subscribed, you know? So that is the amount of people that physically hit subscribe.
The button. So
there are even more, literally millions of people who do the workouts that don't hit subscribe, right? So it's huge for us. I'm not exaggerating when I say we both have cried over some of the messages, the response, and just the overwhelming feeling of knowing like people genuinely are changing their lives because of this. And we know firsthand, it can be very intimidating to go into a gym. Mm-hmm. A lot of our clients that had started training with us started training because they were like, I've never lifted in a gym before and I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. I just need help getting started, or I don't want to look stupid in a gym. If you're listening to this and you're one of those people, I promise you no one is looking at you. It can be so scary and intimidating, but I never understood anyone who ever made fun of anyone in the gym for any reason, because it's like we all start somewhere.
Got to.
I wish I had videos of the first time I squatted with a barbell. Like we all, and you're not going to get better if you don't practice, So if you're intimidated, take this as your sign to just go get started, and there are so many kind people at the gym who will come and they will help you. They will help you. Or you might even see someone who looks approachable that you can ask them for help.
For sure.
And a lot of people enjoy that at the gym. They like being asked for help,
sure.
It makes them feel
makes
good.
them feel like they know something.
Exactly. So
you know what I
mean? when we started getting messages of people saying like, thank you for doing these because I can work out at home, and I never worked out because I was scared of going to the gym,
or I can't, or for some people, I canceled my gym membership. You guys saved me so much money, and I've been doing your workouts. So it's just we've gotten a lot of comments, a lot of feedback that has really, put into perspective like what we're actually doing here. And honestly, while this was our goal, it's a different feeling once you actually see people really giving you that feedback and saying how much you've helped them. So
thank you.
So
if you're one of those people,
seriously,
because even though you're telling us thank you, you helped us to continue pushing.
It motivates us.
There was a time where we were like, this is a lot of work, but now where we're at now, we've had to cut personal training down, and we enjoy doing this now, so where we went from full-time training, even training on Saturdays, part-time now, to now literally part-time. We have a set schedule where we're like, by 9 a.m. we need to be done so that we can get our workout. You start prioritizing things differently, and no more training on Saturdays. For
sure. And we take these videos serious. Like when we shoot them, and if you don't know, we film, edit, do all of this ourselves. So it's a lot of work, but also we realize how many people this can help, how many people depend on this on a weekly basis. There are people, y'all are looking for these workouts every week. So we know that, and we want to continue to put out great content for you guys to enjoy, but also continue to evolve like with this podcast and give you more information, more just content in general to help you guys. So that's pretty much
it. We started a business together. This is how Juice and Toya became Juice and Toya. And we're excited to keep growing and,
super.
Just kind of talking about it and saying it out loud, how we already have evolved from way back to just the tips and tricks videos to now. I'm so excited to see what else we can accomplish.
But anyways, before we get out of here, I thought we'd give you a little taste of what to expect in future episodes. So we want to do some segments. We want to answer your questions, and we just give you valuable information in fun ways. Because again, me personally, I think giving people content that's not only informational but also entertaining, I feel like that's a good, sort of combination. Like if you can entertain somebody but also leave them with something, right? I feel like that's valuable. So that's the whole point of this podcast. We're gonna joke around. Like, first of all, she is hilarious. I don't know if y'all know.
Not that funny.
No, she's funny. She does things and she says things that are hilarious, and you're gonna learn that over the course of this podcast. I wouldn't call myself funny, but we joke around, and we just want to have these conversations just like we want you to feel like you're just watching, sitting on this couch with us and having a conversation.
And like we said earlier, there's a lot that we want to do on the Juice and Toya channel that just maybe wouldn't make sense to. So we're excited to have another platform to be able to expand on that a little bit.
So let's switch gears. We're going to do a little segment. I'm going to call it, I don't know what to call it yet. We're going to call it FAQ.
Frequently asked questions. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask each other a couple questions of something that we get asked every day. Okay, maybe not every day, but all the time. And we want to just address that and try to, give you some quick information and
Yeah, and these might be things that we wish we could address on, and maybe we will also address on Juice and Toya, but just little pieces and nuggets of information without having to go into crazy detail.
For sure. So let's see, what should I got to ask this. So Toya, I'm going to ask it in the perspective of somebody.
You're asking the first one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask the first one. You first. So Toya, I'm trying to lose a little weight. I'm trying to stay at a caloric deficit, but the problem is I don't know how many calories I'm burning exactly while doing your 20-minute full body dumbbell HIIT workout. So for the one that you posted back in October of last year, can you tell me how many calories that burns? Because I'm trying to, track my calories. So can you tell me that?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's the short answer. So now, really quickly, I want to preface this by saying he's not kidding. We get asked that every single day on literally every video. This morning, actually, one user asked it on 2 different videos, and we were like, well, he really wants to know his calories. So we are going to do a video on this because when a question is asked so many times like that, it's clearly information that should be out there, And I do also want to say, if you've asked that, it's not wrong to want to know. You know, you want to know because a lot of, especially when you're trying to lose weight and body fat, it's like calories. So you're not wrong to want to know. But the reason that we purposely don't and will never put calories
on the thumbnail of our videos,
on the thumbnail, in the title, and we'll never tell you in a video how many you're going to burn or even how many you might burn. Because sometimes people will say, well, can you just guess? No, because the calories burned, it goes off of your height, weight, gender, body fat, muscle mass, your intensity during the workout. And there is physically, literally no way for me to tell you how many calories you're going to burn because I don't know your heart rate in the workout. Yeah. So there's going to never be a way that we could tell you how many you're burning because we've filmed workouts where we're doing the exact same thing, no modifications, like the exact same thing, and he will burn like 500 and I might burn 200, right? And you can see we're different size.
That's a big difference. You know, that's a whole meal.
It's a huge difference, yeah. And so if you see workouts that say burn 500 calories in this 30-minute workout, you might only burn 120. Yeah. And I want you to go into the workout remembering that, right? It might be a great workout. It might be an awesome workout. So you shouldn't not do it just because it has the calories in there, but know that you probably aren't burning those calories, 100%. Right? And there are ways that you can track your calorie burn, like a heart rate monitor across your chest. You can wear a watch, some type of tracking device.
They have rings that track your calories now.
Yep, and those, again, are going to be skewed. They could be off. I think some are even off by like 200 to 500 calories sometimes. Like even those can be skewed, but at least it gives you a range. You know, your watch is going to start to get to know you. You are going to start to get to understand your intensity levels, and it's much more accurate than me just telling you, in this 20-minute workout, you're going to burn 500 calories because it could literally be 120. 100%. So we'll do another video on that, just kind of in depth how calories are tracked. Also, one last thing on that, please don't worry about your calories in the workout. They are the least thing that you should be worried about. And we'll also, in that video we'll talk about why you burn less calories in a strength training workout, but why it might be way more important and more beneficial than the HIIT workout. So we'll get deeper into that, but just know the calories are the least important thing. We don't want you to focus on that, and we'll never put it in the title or the thumbnail because it's not what we want you to focus on.
No, and I think, you know, the big problem with putting those calories out there is like, you're going to give yourself credit for those calories before you even get started. Like you're going to say, oh, I burned 500 and half do it. Yeah. And you
might
really
have burned 80.
And burn 80 to 120. Now you're accounting for that in your meals.
And if you're tracking your calories or you're truly trying to stay in a deficit, that could hinder your progress. So definitely just understand, you know, if you're doing a workout simply because the title says you're going to burn 500.
It's most likely clickbait, to be honest with you. Like if we honestly, I'm gonna be real. If we put calories on our videos, we probably have 2 million subscribers right now because there are people who don't.
They literally will say, I wish you put the calories in here. I would have loved it even more.
Yeah, or just in general, people won't click on the video because it doesn't tell them how many calories they burn. Yes. So, you know, it's one of those things where we could have went that route, but we decided not to because it's really doing you a huge disservice.
Absolutely.
Like, we understand how calories work. We understand how people calculate calories, how skewed it can be, and it could be to your detriment.
So we're trying to help you by not putting them in there.
That's the short version. We'll do a whole podcast on calories and the importance and why they're honestly not. You shouldn't be so hyper focused on it, but we'll get into a whole nother discussion on that. So
now I get to ask you a question?
Yeah, ask me a question.
All right. So
here we go.
Another question that we get asked a lot that we would like to address. I love your strength training workouts, but I would love your channel even more if you could please do a kickboxing workout. I would love your channel even more if you would do Muay Thai. Why don't you have any yoga videos?
Okay. I'll start by saying this. We will never, and I mean never, put out any content that we are not knowledgeable in or have any type of comfort in teaching you. Because, again, we're trying to put out accurate information. And if I'm faking it and if I'm acting like I know something, again, it's doing you a disservice. So I am not I have no certificate. I am not certified. Right. I have no certifications in kickboxing. Toya does not either. No. And you know what? I'm just going to go down the list and tell you honestly what you're not going to get.
All right, let's hear it.
Kickboxing or any type of boxing in general. Like we do a little boxing here and there. Don't get me wrong, but it's not enough to where we feel comfortable teaching you and making you feel like you actually know what you're doing. And
I have my boxing certification.
She's coached me.
Yeah. Right? We've boxed together, but I have a very basic knowledge level, and I don't practice it enough to comfortably teach it to someone else.
Correct. So, as we get more knowledgeable on things, we'll put information out.
Absolutely.
But you're not getting kickboxing, you're not getting yoga, unless Toya decides to be a yoga instructor.
I love yoga.
It's not happening. Yeah. You're not getting Pilates. I'm sorry. You're not getting bar. I don't do bar.
What about Muay Thai?
Muay Thai, definitely not. And we can go down the list. We can go jump roping. We can go. It's a lot, right? I'm just being quite honest with you. But again, we're not going to put out any information or anything that we're not knowledgeable in. Just understand that it's just,
and
it's just
also that's not to say I love yoga. I try to do a yoga workout 1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah.
I love doing Pilates. When I'm I need a low intensity, I maybe need a rest day or want to do something a little less impact, I'll do a Pilates workout. I love all of those things, but we are not knowledgeable enough to teach it to you without someone grilling us and being like, yo.
No, if we put out, listen, if we put out a 20-minute kickbox, first of all, that would be hilarious.
It would be so funny.
But we will, for anybody that has a kickboxing channel or implements kickboxing within the routines, they will grill us on an open flame.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. So, for the sake of not leading you in the wrong direction and us not getting grilled, don't expect that. So we will put out content as we become more comfortable and knowledgeable about. So maybe
if I do get my Yoda certification, it's something I would love to do, but it's a really hard thing to do. It's not just learn how to stretch, it's very in-depth.
One thing that we do, I'll say this before we wrap this up. One thing that we do want to get in the future that we get a lot of questions about is pre-postnatal and a lot of workouts that can help people who are going through pregnancy, pre and post, that could help them out. And again, even with that requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and honestly, a lot of guidance, right? Yep. So we don't want to just put out a workout and say, this is great for, first trimester.
Postpartum recovery.
Or post, and then something happens to you or something, you know what I mean? We don't want to put something out there without necessarily knowing what we're doing. The workouts that we create, they're all calculated. We're not just throwing exercises together. We're literally having meetings together, sitting down,
doing the workouts
right here or in the living room, and we're coming up with these workouts and these ideas together and putting them together and asking each other, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Will this flow well, right? It's hard to put multiple workouts, and I'm sure anybody who has a fitness channel can attest to that. It's hard to put these workouts together and all these different actions and make it refreshing and new and fun every single time. So, so to answer your question, no, we're not doing kickboxing.
That's it. So we would love to do, more frequently asked question segments on just things that we get asked often. Yep. And some of them, like the calories one, we'll go in deeper depth on we might even do a whole separate podcast episode on that. Yep. So this kind of wraps up the first episode. We just wanted you to know who is Juice and Toya, because likely if you're watching this, you found us from our Juice and Toya YouTube channel.
Shout out.
So we want you guys to get to know who we are as people, as humans, as personal trainers, but also use this as a space to dive deeper into different topics and make it a little more entertaining versus just a science.
We're not here to lecture you, right? We have the science to back a lot of stuff up, but we want to be able to give it to you. Again, dumb it down, right? We're just trying to keep it simple and put it out there in a way that even your 12-year-old son can understand.
So
you know what I mean?
Just like our Juice and Toya YouTube channel, we grew that channel and grew ourselves in that based off of your feedback. So we had people say, I wish we had another angle. We got another camera. Yeah. I wish that, there were more modifications. We implemented that. I wish there was a timer. We implemented. So your feedback helps us a lot because we're still learning a lot of this, So we would love for you to give us feedback on the podcast. Let us know things that you would like to hear, things you'd like us to talk about. Yeah. And it can be anything, it could be more like something personal about us or our journeys, something health and fitness related, workout related. Get to know us.
Yeah. And honestly too, we give information on workouts, nutrition, the big things, right? But nobody talks about the in-betweens, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody talks about the day where you wake up and you're not motivated, or you have an injury where you snap your Achilles and you can't work out for 6 months, right? So
how do you get through that,
right? So those are things that that kind of honestly put people in certain positions. I know a lot of people who've gotten injured or who, you know, went through certain traumatic experiences and gained a lot of weight, right? And who there's nobody talks about what to do in that particular situation when you're going through those obstacles, right? So that's what we're here to cover, not just the food, not just the workouts, but lifestyle in general, like how to improve your everyday life to where you can stay consistent, you can stay motivated and stay inspired to reach your goals and stay healthy in general. So
I love it.
That's what the Juice Toya Podcast is all about. That's what One Body Los Angeles is all about. And we want to just continue to spread the message, put out more content for you to enjoy. So we thank y'all for joining us. My Houston came
We
out.
thank you all for joining us. We're really excited about this.
Yeah.
So make sure you comment, make sure you like, subscribe.
Wherever you're listening to your podcast.
Wherever you listen to your podcast.
Put a rating, put some suggestions down. Be sure to rate high, 5 stars,
Thank you.
And let us know what you'd like to see. Again, we're built off your feedback, and we want to make sure you're covered. So we thank you for joining us for our first and foremost episode. And we're going to see you at the next one.
We'll see you all at the next one.